One question that I'm often asked is, what's the number one trait for a leader to have? What's the most important thing for a leader to have? And I may have said vision at one point, or I may have said inspiration at another point. Various points I would have thought different things, but the thing that I would say now, more than anything else, is often surprising to people on the most important trait for a leader to have. And that trait is actually empathy. Now, empathy, maybe people think empathy, what? I don't know about empathy for leadership. And I don't want to get it confused with sympathy. I don't mean sympathy, I mean empathy. And let me explain a little bit why I think that now and why I feel like it's the most valuable thing for a leader. So empathy is the ability to actually feel what another person is feeling. It's to actually sense what someone is feeling. Sense what your team is feeling. Sense what your group is feeling. A real easy way to put it is you put yourself in their shoes. Now, I learned from the Arbinger Institute about two contrasting ways of leadership. One was an inward mindset, they called it, versus an outward mindset. Another way they said it was a heart at war versus a heart at peace. And another way they said it was you see people as objects versus seeing people as people. So empathy actually allows us as leaders to see people as people. Now, why is that so important? Why is that so valuable? Because when people know we feel what they feel, we understand them, we get them, now we actually have a shared meaning, a shared interest. And now the trait of being able to create vision, to inspire, has value. But if we can create great vision, or great dreams, and yet we don't have empathy, people won't be excited to follow that great vision and those great dreams. If you look at even the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King, he painted a great picture. If you ever listen to that speech, he was a master of words. He was able to paint the way things were and then paint the way things should be. And he wanted them to be. But more importantly, was the people there listening. The people that actually wanted to follow that dream. If he said, I have a dream, but people didn't want to follow it with their heart and with their energy, and they weren't willing to run through a wall, then that was a dream that he may have had as a solo leader, a solopreneur. But in my work world as a coach, I went from coaching the solopreneur to coaching leaders of small teams, to coaching leaders of maybe a team of teams or multiple teams. And there's a shift that has to happen from being a solopreneur to leading people, leading groups. In order to do that, you have to have the trait of empathy. And again, I'm going to contrast empathy with sympathy. Sympathy can be oftentimes what people think of when I say that. And it's not what I mean. Sympathy can be feeling what you feel, you think they feel. Sympathy can feel sorry for someone. It can pity or, some sort of, softness that empathy doesn't bring. Sympathy actually is not effective. Is not as effective as empathy. So empathy is this thing where when I feel what people feel, maybe I actually confront them or challenge them more. Maybe I actually create more accountability. It doesn't soften me as a leader. It doesn't soften a leader. It actually strengthens them as a leader because they actually are in tune with what's needed and they're actually able to create traction because people are bought in and they want to do what we're leading them to do. Now, let's think about moving people to action. You know, there's a lot of definitions of leadership out there, but ultimately it gets down to this. Can we move people to action around a shared goal, around a shared vision, around a shared dream or desire? Can we move the people, to that shared dream and get people into action? If other people are moving into action, we're actually leading. If actually people are doing it out of the willingness of their hearts because we have a shared interest, then we're leading. But when we talk about moving people to action, the action that they have to be moved by has to be a self-initiated change. So let's think about this. There's another approach, and let's say that we don't have empathy, but we know we need to move people to action. We know we need to get somebody on our team to change. We know we need to get them to change a habit, a behavior, something that's not effective. We know we need to get them to increase performance. Well, if we don't come with empathy, if we come and maybe we're pushing them to change, right? Then what they will feel is actually us trying to change them, which the pain that they will experience of having someone try to change them, because it's a loss of autonomy for them, actually is more painful than the change we're wanting them to develop in the first place. So people have to be moved by two twin forces. I remember hearing Tony Robbins talk about the two twin forces that drive us, right? The two drivers, and that is pain or pleasure. And you think about the real changes that you've made in your own life, and you either had such a painful experience that you said, I'm never going to do this again, or you found something that was so pleasurable and rewarding that you said, I got to keep finding this. I got to keep tapping this well and going back to that. There are things that I found in my life that allow me to de-stress, that are healthy for me, that I want to go to every day. I want to go to that well every single day because it feels so good. Not because somebody told me to do it, because it makes me feel good and it re-energizes me. It refreshes me. So there's things I do daily because of the way it makes me feel. Same with people that you're around. Think about somebody that you're around that's easy to be around, that you have fun with. It could be an old friend, it could be a newer friend, it could be a family member or anybody else. And when there's an ease there, when you want to be around them, I mean, how much joy is there, right? There's a lot of energy that you can find there to do things. You'll go on trips with them. You'll do anything with them when you have that sort of delight with somebody. All right? So people will change based on pain or pleasure. And when we try to change somebody, we're literally working against ourselves because they're experiencing the pain of feeling judged. They're experiencing the pain of being pushed or forced into something, or they're experiencing the pain of somebody trying to change them and losing their autonomy, which is really the greatest need. The greatest need is autonomy and freedom. So now, let's look at the opposite and say, empathetically, we understand what they're going through. We understand what their challenge is. We understand their obstacles, their barriers, the things that are preventing them from changing, the things that are preventing them from performing at a high level. And now we talk to them and we're able to communicate with some understanding. And now they, as they are respectfully communicated with by us, as we talk to them respectfully and we honor them by giving them a conversation and speaking directly to them. Now, that happens And all of a sudden, they begin to have a self-initiated change or a self-directed change. A change that actually is birthed from within themselves. A change where they actually want to say, I never want to perform at that low level again. I never want to be here again because I can see how much better it can be to go to this new place, right? And when they feel that and they experience that and they feel the pleasure of where they can go versus the pain of where they've been, they create a self-directed change. Now, that self-directed change, that self-initiated change from the inside out versus an outside-in approach of us trying to change them, meeting our goals and our desires, now we have synergy. Now we have something where we are bought in to a collective effort toward a shared goal. A shared goal is unstoppable. Patrick Lencioni, the author of The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, said if you can get any group or any team rowing the boat in the same direction, that's your greatest competitive advantage you would have to outdo any competition that's coming your way, because it's the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest thing for a leader to do is to create a team that puts all their energy into one direction. But a leader is not going to be able to do it without empathy. So, as a leader and as a facilitator and as a coach and as a consultant, I'm often asked, what is that greatest leadership trait? And I come back to empathy because it's the thing that allows us to get everybody rowing in the same direction because they desire the change from within. They desire to row in that direction from within. I'm Tim Figley. I hope you liked this video. If you did, you can look at some of our other videos and hopefully be in touch with us.